they want to hit me in the nostalgia personally, I'm going to need Truck Simulator.
Are you serious?
18 Wheels of Steel.
Are you serious?
18 Wheels
I think
of Steel.
they
I just
have
want
that on Switch.
I hope Marquez plays Truck Simulator with the split Joy-Con horizontal with only those controls.
The Joy-Con is the mouse control, and I'm just using the wheel like this.
It's the shift. It's the
and I shift
manual
gears
shift
with
with the mouse control.
And I have to get a new.
So you have
controls, right?
nostalgia for Truck Simulator?
Yes, sir.
I'm just like shocked. As someone who also plays really boring games, I did not.
No, bro, I customized the heck out of my truck. I was going cross country.
You guys are broken human beings.
So yeah, these new accessories are interesting. So like we said, it has 2 USB-C ports, so it can be docked, and then on that top USB-C port, you can plug in the Switch 2 camera. And basically the way I feel like I was watching this video, and Nintendo's just acknowledging that the Switch is a very social console, and there are people who have Switches who are not in the same place, and they can still take advantage of all playing the same game and making it feel as social as possible. We're all used to Zoom and being on these little like video squares and we all see each other. So you point this camera at yourself, and a lot of Switch 2 games will actually have a feature built in where it will like include your picture over your video game stream as you're playing the game. So if you're playing a game, you can see other people playing the same game or different games at the same time.
Right.
You have a microphone on the top. You can chat with your friends. You can see your friends. Apparently, it's got AI noise cancellation, so if other noises are happening in the room and the Switch is across the room, it can still pick up your voice.
Yeah.
So it's a more social experience. You don't just see the character on the screen, you see your friends with the camera.
Like a big part of the camera is this new feature called Game Chat, which is included if you have Switch Online, but you have to pay for it, unfortunately.
Yep.
After
Free for a year?
You get the free first year.
Yeah, after like the beginning of next year. But basically what this lets you do, like you were kind of talking about, is it will show your main screen on your screen, but then it also shows the screens of your friends that you're playing with.
Yeah.
And the cool thing, like you mentioned, is that you can be playing the same game and it'll show their games at the bottom. You can also be playing different games. And if you have the camera, it does this sort of like AI cutout thing where it cuts out your head and like stitches it to the corner.
Yeah.
And so it can show your reactions while you're playing Mario Kart or Mario Party. And I think that is really, really important. Like during COVID, when everyone's playing like Animal Crossing together and Super Smash Bros. Together and stuff, you didn't really have that party experience from like being in person with people and like seeing their reactions. And like that's a huge part of the fun of gaming with people. And so being able to actually see their reactions in their face is very, very cool.
In Mario Party, it's one step further where generally you would have like the little circle next to your character that would show your avatar. Now it just shows straight up your face and your camera feed.
Yeah.
So like attached to your character playing Mario Party, your face is right there. Like that's a awesome way of doing it. I mean, everyone who plays games on like the computer, they're used to having Discord and party chat. I know PlayStation's like incorporated Discord, but this is a first party voice chat all set up inside your system already. And now that you have a camera, you can either play Mario Kart, see everyone's reactions on like the bottom of the screen, like a Zoom call inside of everything, which was brilliant.
It's so awesome. I think it's the closest thing that you can do to actually being in person with people and playing with them in your living room.
And not having to set up a Zoom call on the side, which
I've done.
I'm sure all of us have done. It's pretty annoying.
It
with the
sucks.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, they also showed us feature where if you and a friend are both local and you both have a Switch, then you can share a game that only one of you has to the other Switch so you can play it at the same time with them.
Yeah.
Now, they showed this kind of like basic, like sort of backgammon looking game. So I'm interested in what other games will end up supporting this, but the idea is, okay, I have a Switch, I have this game, I want you to play with me, but I don't want to break my controller off and hand it to you and we play on this tiny screen because you also have a Switch.
Right.
So I will share essentially some files, some part of the game with your Switch. We're both local, we're on the same network. Now we're both playing on our own Switch, but in the same game.
Yeah.
I think that's cool too.
I think that's very cool.
And we'll see what games end up supporting it. And then the other thing that was kind of big to me, because I've had my Switch for a while. I have a 32 gig Switch, and I didn't buy a micro SD card, so I have 3 games on my Switch. Is the base storage is 256 gigs now instead of 32.
Marques tried updating the games the other day, and it just
You
like
don't have
froze.
room.
It said you can update 2 of the games. Pick 2, because the third one, not enough space for that.
Wow.
But now you can put way more games on the Switch. Now the question that we have a lot of unknowns with the Switch, and I'll start to go through those. We don't know how big the new Switch 2 games will be. So 256 gigs is great, but I also assume that Switch 2 games are going to be bigger because they're higher fidelity and they need They have more graphics, and that might still only be room for 3 games.
Yeah.
But yes, there is still micro SD Express support. You need a faster card, but you can still put a card in.
Yeah.
So that's one. Number 2, I haven't heard or read much about battery life. It's still as thin as it was. I assume the battery is a similar size. I don't know if the battery will be significantly better or worse, or
taller,
larger.
It is bigger, but
it's a
you have
larger
bigger screen.
system.
So anytime you have a bigger screen and a bigger battery, you end up kind of canceling some of that out. So I don't know if they've made any announcements regarding like fast charging or having a significantly better battery in any way, but I'm wondering about that.
Yeah. I think it'll have better battery life because usually bigger screen, bigger battery, the battery still has an edge. Like if you look at like the iPhone Max, it's a bigger screen, but there's a bigger battery, and it usually has better battery than.
I guess like this screen is so much bigger and brighter potentially.
Yeah,
and higher refresh rate.
And the games, because they added they also added a fan to the dock, so they're kind of acknowledging it's gonna get hotter.
Yeah, so TBD on that.
Yeah.
I guess those are the 2 main unknowns for me. Also, things like durability, Joy-Con drift, any issues that might come up, we'll see.
Yeah, the question is like, are these Hall effects Joy-Cons? That would be a good question because
they didn't say those words.
People were making like Hall effect mods to the Joy-Cons before because the Joy-Con drift was like a major issue. I assume Nintendo would have kind of tackled that problem.
They had to know about it, so I hope so.
Oh my god. They've known about it for a very long time. Yeah. So hopefully they tackled that. They didn't mention anything about it specifically though, which is interesting.
And then we'll see what games come out for it, because there will be, kind of as they mentioned, there will be Switch 2 games, which will have all the optimization. They'll take advantage of the camera if you have one and all these cool features. If you get Switch 1 games, some of them will be compatible. And then some of them will get updated Switch 2 versions of them, which will, again, take advantage of the features.
Yeah.
Well, you have to pay.
You have to pay.
You'll have to buy
You have to buy like an upgrade pack.
An upgrade pack, yeah. Which I do not like very much.
No, I think that was the biggest L of the announcement, although we don't know pricing. Hey, wait a minute. I don't know where this is being incorporated into the episode, but it is Thursday. I have Ellis sitting next to me.
What's up?
When we recorded this directly after the event, not everything was out. One pretty big piece of news came out, and that is Mario Kart World will be $80 for the online version and $90 for the physical copy. There's also some weird thing about physical copies. There's a lot more we're discovering, but I just wanted to put that out there. We did not know these pricings.
No, we did not.
So the rest of the conversation, understand that, and next week, I'm sure we will learn so much more about pricing and the Switch 2, and we'll update everything next week.
Seems like there's also some ray tracy stuff coming out, and some digital versus physical stored download in the cartridge. We don't know if the cartridges still taste bad. Please enjoy the rest of our Switch 2 discussion, and just know that we were still in the dark when we had this conversation, but now we see the light, and next week we will share that light with you.
Next week for Switch 2. The switching.
Switch 2 to
Part 2.
Yeah.
There's big updates and there's small updates. Like there's games that got a whole new world that you can play in, but then there's like the Zelda games which have better fidelity. Basically, it's like brighter HDR support and like higher resolution, but you have to buy that.
Yeah, so I'm wondering how much of a difference those updated versions of the games will actually make.
And how much you have to pay.
Fidelity, and how much is it?
If it was like $5 to $10, I think that's understandable. But if it was like $20, that seems like it's pushing
20 would be tough.
Yeah.
Sounds
what?
Like a game, yeah.
So pricing wise, the only thing we didn't mention is I think the camera's $50. You said.
Yeah, so the camera is $50.
Okay.
The console is $449, and there's a bundle with that and a new Mario Kart game called Mario Kart World, which is $500. So you're basically paying $50.
Yeah, but it looks like a sick game. But what do we think pricing wise on that?
$449. So the original Switch, way back when it launched, was $299 at launch.
Yeah.
Considering how much better this one is, how much bigger the screen is, and inflation, a bunch of other factors, and now it's 2025, I'm not mad at $449, to be honest. That's just me. I think some people will think about, I'm going to buy the Switch, and then how many games am I going to buy, and then how much total am I spending, and then you kind of have to think more about that. But yeah, I'm not mad at the $449.
I think it's quite a lot.
It's high, but it's not absurd to me.
I'm not surprised by it. I was hoping it was going to be $399. But I still think it fits in that slot of not, correct me if I'm wrong, not as expensive as like a PS5 or the new Xbox. It still like slots in under those more expensive game consoles. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, the original.
Although I guess at this point it's out years and years after those two launched.
Yeah.
But
PS5 Slim is $500. So if you get it with the bundle, it's the same price as the PS5 Slim.
The Switch one was 2017.
Yeah, I know.
So it's been
it's been 8 years. Yeah,
8 years, and it's gone up $150 total.
okay, PS5 is $499,
yeah.
PS5
and the
is-
digital editions with no disc drive is $399. So yeah, it's more expensive than those. They did come out earlier. Yeah, it's like kind of a tougher price, but also we all know it's not going to deter anybody from buying it.
It will
that was
deter,
interested in buying
I
it.
think it'd. I mean, a big seller for Nintendo is the parents who buy it for their kids at Christmas, and the difference between a $300 console.
Oh yeah, but none of us thought it was going to be $300, right?
No, but I thought maybe $379 because yes, it's much better in every way, but it's also been 8 years, so it's a lot easier to buy a 256 gig NAND chip to put in
That's
the
totally
device. It probably costs the same or probably actually less than it cost them to put a 32 gig chip in it 8 years ago. So
I'm very curious about the new screen. I want to look at this new screen. I want to see how much better it actually looks. I appreciate the 4K 120 or the 1080 120. Thank you. But yeah, we'll kind of have to be a judge. We're again recording this before I get that hands-on, and I'll sort of try to detail that in the video. So if you guys haven't already watched that video, by the time this podcast comes out, that video should also be out. So check out the hands-on video.
there's no embargo on the hands-on.
Nope, it's just going right up.
That's insane.
Yeah, it should be fun. But yeah, that's Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah,
Mario
there's-
Kart World looked pretty sweet.
So I've mostly not played a lot of Mario Kart, but it seems like the open world concept is a big
Sort of.
difference versus the original Mario Kart. Like Mario Kart, you kind of get people who just like memorize exactly how they play certain maps, and then you just go crazy. Where the gameplay that they were showing, and these people were just being very social about just like driving around, just seeing what's happening, not really racing as much, which is interesting.
There's a couple things where one's called free roam, where you can just roam around the maps and like take photos with your friends and stuff, which
Yeah,
is
they just
like if
pause
you're
and take
really
a
into
picture.
it,
I was
that's
like,
cool.
Is that Mario Kart?
I thought what's cool is so like one of the ways you play normal Mario Kart is a Grand Prix where you play 4 different maps that are all in one, but it used to like segment them into you play Rainbow Road and then you play whatever map, and now you drive between them inside of the Grand Prix, which is really cool. And then there's another one called Knockout, I believe, where because in this game you can have up to 24 players on a map, which is the most they've ever had.
Chaos.
But they kind of have it. It's not within the Grand Prix. They showed it quickly. It seems like there's a map of all the different racetracks, and they take a large chunk of racetracks. You drive and you drive between them, and then there's checkpoints within the racetracks where it'll knock out like 8 people in the first one. So if you're not within the top 16, as you hit that, you get knocked out. And then so you drive further and further and further, and these longer and longer iterations of different maps sequenced together, and then until one person's left at the end, which I think sounds really cool.
It's the chase.
The chase.
Sounds fun.
That's how the NASCAR playoffs work. When they first introduced that system, they called it the chase. Now it's
Except
called
imagine if they drove from Talladega to Daytona in between.
In the NASCAR. That would be kind of sick, not gonna lie.
They can in fact go 500 miles. So
Yeah, they just don't turn right very well.
And they could go
that's
500.
not true. That's such a third of the season has right turns.
Yeah, but they set up those cars a certain way for certain tracks, so just be careful on those city streets. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's something else. They're releasing this game called Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Yeah, this is a pretty big L from me because you have to buy it.
Oh, you have
That's
to
the only
buy
thing
it?
I have a problem
Like,
with.
Oh.
It should have been free.
Yeah, I mean the Wii came with Wii Sports,
And the PS5 came
And
with
that's-
Astro's World.
Did it come with
Astrobot.
Astro's World?
You got that for free.
I don't. I think they released an Astrobot bundle later.
Astrobot was the game they
Yeah, was it-
announced after. Astro World was the one
Was
that
it
came
Travis
free with the
Scott
first PlayStation.
You're right.
Yeah.
Was
You're
it really
right.
called that?
And so
Oh,
I think
Astro's Playroom.
Astro's
sorry.
Playroom.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, that is the Travis Scott.
That's why I said
We are
Astro's Playroom on the
spreading
PlayStation 5. But that was the same thing. It was like a demo. You get all the
Yeah,
springs.
I think it's important to be able to show users like all the benefits of the console that they're playing, and I think that they made this game like the Welcome Tour game actually looks very cool, where you run around a giant Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 2,
Same thing PlayStation did.
and you basically just like you look at the different parts of the console and it tells you really interesting tidbits about it, and it teaches you how to use the mouse and all this stuff. Why would you have to pay for that? That makes no sense. Like, you release Wii Sports for free with the Wii, which is one of the most iconic games of all time, and then you have to buy the basically like glorified demo guide of how to use the console. Like, that's crazy.
Is it going to be? Did they say a price?
They didn't. They just said it was a paid digital game. I just think that's a huge L. It should have just come. Bad. It should have come built into the console.
That was a big miss. Yeah.
No, who's gonna buy that?
I would never have bought Astro's Playroom, but because of how good it was, I learned a lot about what it was capable of, and then went on to go get games that I thought would take advantage of the features.
Teaches you the new features.
But if I didn't have Astro's Playroom, I would not have learned a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So being free, being included, being easy to access would have been awesome for this demo.
Other things, they just released, or they're going to release this new game that takes advantage of the mouse control. It's sort of a combination between basketball and also you're in a wheelchair, and it's a whole thing.
It's Rocket League in wheelchairs.
It's Rocket League with wheelchairs and basketball, which is interesting. But it's not using existing IP, and it's focused on the mouse control. And I think that it is more beneficial to release existing IP that uses new play interaction because it gets people to do it. Like when The Legend of Zelda not Skyward Sword.
Don't get this wrong.
Twilight Princess came out. They released it concurrently on the GameCube and the Wii. And the whole thing that was beneficial for the Wii was that you could use the motion controls to kind of use Link's sword. And so they released this new IP that teaches you how to use the motion controls and really plays into the motion control thing. And that's awesome because people are going to freaking play Zelda anyway. But they're not planning, like, people are not planning on buying this game that's like Rocket League with wheelchairs and basketball. You know what I mean? It's just kind of a random.
It makes the most sense of how they work, because if they need to be flat down on a table and pushed on both sides, it's like the two wheels of a wheelchair, and you can like wave to get the ball passed to you and stuff like that. You're right, though. I don't think a lot of people are going to play.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be like an instant cult classic and everyone's going to be obsessed with it.
Yeah, maybe
I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it could.
Maybe
that's probably what they're hoping for. Yeah. They talked about a bunch of different games. Does everyone want to pick like one they saw
that they liked?
Okay.
Oh, wait. Oh, I'll get there anyway. Kirby Air Riders. But okay. Kirby Air Ride was a GameCube game that encapsulated much of my childhood.
It was so much more than a game.
It was more than a game.
It was an epoch.
It was an epoch. It was an epoch. There's core memories burned into my brain of sitting in my living room playing that game for like hours on end with my friends. So Kirby Air Riders, I'm extremely excited for.
There's one that it felt like they were trying to hit me in the nostalgia personally. It was a new Tony Hawk game, and they're showing it, and I'm like, oh, I remember Tony Hawk. I don't know if I would have that much fun anymore. And then within the last 3 seconds of the gameplay, they're just like SpongeBob level, and then cut, and it was like Tony Hawk. I was like, what are you doing? Just like out of nowhere, he's just like Andrew. In Bikini Bottom.
They know their core audience. They're like, people that played Pro Skater were also SpongeBob fans, so here you go.
That is a solid overlap.
That is very smart of them.
I see NBA 2K is coming, so I'm curious to play that. We'll see how that is.
On the airplane?
Yeah. Well, I won't be playing online, but I'm a big My Career guy, so I could play anywhere. 6 hour flight? Trust me, I'm on that grind.
Were there games
developing my player?
Were there games that you guys were excited for?
Pokemon Za, baby.
Did you ever play Arceus, Legends Arceus?
No.
Oh, well. It's the other
Pokemon
one.
Za? That's what it's called?
It's Pokemon Legends
ZA.
ZA.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's Japan.
What is Project 007?
It's a James Bond game.
They showed very little. It literally was just like the opening looking down the barrel 007 scene, and it just said like 007, the world's most famous hitman or assassin.
Because hot take, I thought the Wii release of GoldenEye, it wasn't like a remaster, it was like kind of its own thing, was one of my favorite Wii games.
Really?
Yeah, so if they can do this right, I'm pretty into it. Also, I apologize if any of you heard Zuri snoring. It's hard to wake up a cute puppy.
I didn't hear it at all.
Perfect.
Don't wake her up.
We've done it twice.
How dare you?
But possibly one of the biggest announcements. GameCube is coming to Switch Online.
For a small fee.
Oh.
Well, as part of Switch Online. Yeah, I mean,
Plus expansion.
That's the last
the
Nintendo
expansion.
console that I played a lot of.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
Like, I had a friend, actually my friend who had the GameCube also had the Nintendo Wii, but that GameCube does have some little bit of nostalgia in my heart. Just a little bit.
People have been asking for them to add this for so long, And so you're going to be able to play Wind Waker. You're going to be able to play Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.
Original Kirby Air Ride.
Potentially original Kirby Air Ride.
Super Monkey Ball.
So there's so many. And then
Wave Race.
I'm
SSX Tricky.
So many good games. They're also releasing a GameCube controller that is wireless that can hook up to the console, so you can play those GameCube games more natively.
They could charge $449 for that, and it would fly off the shelves.
Yeah, true. And then it also has an additional C button to do the, to do the community chat stuff. So I'm very excited for that.
Marques, have you ever
want to relive my childhood?
Have you ever played any of the Civ games?
Civilization.
Oh, I thought you said Sim. Nope.
I guess I'm an idiot and never realized they were on console, but they showed Civ 6 and it sounds. I'm hoping the console controls are good because rotting on my couch and playing Civilization sounds like the greatest thing ever.
Sounds like
because doing it in your chair and when it's 5 a.m. your back's starting to hurt. But if it's 5 a.m. and I'm just lounging on the couch with a nice blanket,
dude. According to Wikipedia, it's on Android.
Oh my god! Don't tell me that. I'll get nothing done.
Dude,
that's a great. You should play more. I think you would like that game. It's super low key. You can play as much or as little as you want, and by as little I mean as much as you want. And
we'll see how much storage I end up with. I'll try that. That'll be one of my first few games on the Switch too.
Literally, all of the games that are coming for the GameCube are just my childhood, just wrapped in one.
This is the most
Super Mario Sunshine, Chibi Robo, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, Super Mario Strikers.
If they want to hit me in the nostalgia personally, I'm going to need Truck Simulator. 18 Wheels of Steel.
Are you serious?
18 Wheels of Steel.
I think they have that on Switch.
I hope Marques plays Truck Simulator with the split Joy-Con horizontal with only those controls.
The Joy-Con mouse control, and I'm just using the wheel like this.
It's the shift. It's the manual shift with the mouse control.
And I have to get in.
So you have nostalgia for Truck Simulator?
Yes, sir.
I'm just like shocked. As someone who also plays really boring games, I did not.
No, bro, I customized the heck out of my truck. I was going cross country.
You guys are broken human beings. I don't understand why you would have. Oh, we've evolved. Yes, we've evolved.
Are you trying to name the Pokemon on your thing right now?
This is all the ones I know. Yeah.
One of those you didn't know before.
Squirtle.
Blastoise.
Who's the grass one?
Moly.
Roly-poly
Grass one?
The grass one.
The green one.
He's technically number 1 in the Pokedex.
Oh, green. Wait, I think it is.
Thanks for watching this clip. Before we tell you to like and subscribe, we are going to have Marques name every Pokemon he can off the dome. Are you ready, Marques?
Starting with Pokedex number 1.
Here we go.
I don't know if he knows number
Pikachu.
1.
Nice.
25.
Snorlax.
Boom.
Charizard, Charmander.
Sweet.
Blastoise. Squirtle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 6.
Grass one.
You named him earlier.
Who's the legendary in the first?
He's kind of freaky and has a pink tail and
Winnie the
floats
Pooh?
around.
No. Wait, what?
There's one of them, and then there's 2 of them.
Kind of freaky.
That's it.
It's the sound a cat makes.
Meow.
Close.
Wait.
Well,
say it like Mike Tyson.
Meowzard.
Meowzard.
Meow. Meowmander.
Make sure to like and subscribe for more of this.
If you really want it.
Meowth.
Well, there's Meowth, but I was talking about.
That's the Mike Tyson one.
I was talking about Mew.
I was talking about Mew.
Oh.
Mewtwo?
And Mewtwo.
No, that's what you do when you want your jaw to
I've heard of Mewtwo.
Mewtwo's a Pokemon.
Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur.
I guess we're still going. Thanks for watching.
Is this Naruto?
There's also Mew.
This is every Pokemon I've ever heard of.
There's also Mew.
Like and subscribe, please.